Thank you. Just a word, what a great room this is. This is one of the few rooms I think every year people leave it feeling more inspired, dedicated. To everyone in this room, a room full of conscience. Fritz Schwarz. Fritz Schwarz is one of the most decent men I've known. He is the quintessential straight arrow. So wrote Bob Herbert, a former Ridenhour winner in the New York Times. I second Bob Herbert's emotion. Since the dawn of his professional life, Fritz has demonstrated a remarkable and consistent commitment to public service. He has always sought out the hard issues. As early as 1965, he was an anti-apartheid advocate ahead of his time, urging US companies to stop doing business in South Africa. And while his private practice has long been based at an establishment law firm, Cravath, Swaine & Moore, where he has served for decades as litigation partner, Schwartz's remarkable career has been punctuated by a series of vital public service assignments, the most memorable of which was chief counsel to the Church Committee. The committee, as many of you, perhaps not all of you, know, was formed in 1975 in the wake of the Watergate scandal to investigate illegal intelligence gathering by the CIA, the FBI, and the NSA. And as counsel, Fritz engaged in the most prominent investigation of the intelligence community that our nation has ever seen. Some highlights of our government's illegal activities that this bipartisan committee unearthed: the CIA had hired the mafia to help in its attempts to assassinate Fidel Castro. The FBI had wiretapped members of Congress. The FBI had tried to pressure Martin Luther King Jr. into committing suicide. Moreover, the committee revealed the existence of COINTELPRO, the widespread domestic surveillance of US citizens, an analog version of the revelations brought forth by this afternoon's fellow prize winner, Edward Snowden. Here is a video clip of Fritz Schwarz describing how the FBI tried to undermine the work and smear the reputation of Martin Luther King Jr.
Negro leader.
After the March on Washington, there was an acceleration. He was defined because of his speech in that demonstration in Washington as the most dangerous and effective leader in the country, and there was a paper battle within the Bureau as to how best to attack him, and he was attacked. After Time magazine named him as Man of the Year, again, the Bureau finds that reprehensible, believes it must attack and destroy. When he was given the Nobel Prize, again, they seek to discredit Dr. King with the persons who welcomed him back from that award. When he began to speak out against the Vietnam War, there's a new crescendo of efforts by the Bureau to discredit and destroy Dr. King. When the Poor People's Campaign took place, once again, they go after Dr. King. And their activity to go after Dr. King didn't even cease when he died.
The Church Committee not only revealed the enormous powers of our secret government, it then set forth reforms to restore constitutional checks and balances, ones we've seen brutally eroded over these last years. Fritz Schwarz went on to serve as New York City's chief lawyer under Mayor Koch, and as he left that office, the New York Times, in a rare goodbye editorial, noted that Mr. Schwarz met the challenges of his office, from potholes to human rights, and in New York he has raised aspirations and performance in city government and made City Hall cleaner and livelier. And his civic activism in his beloved city continued. As chair of the Vera Institute of Justice, he championed new policies to end the use of deadly force by the NYPD. He headed the much-lauded New York City Campaign Finance Board. And if I were to tell you about the articles and books Fritz Schwarz has written and the scores of boards, public interest and educational groups, criminal justice, philanthropic, and government commissions that he has participated over these last decades, we'd be here, well, till the day that the intelligence community becomes transparent. We will know. Let me just close. Fritz Schwarz is currently chief counsel of the Brennan Center, involved with all facets of that good organization's work, especially its commitment to ending the metastasizing money polluting our political system. And he is characterized by his colleagues at Brennan as our MVP and the person who best exemplifies how the highest ideals of the legal profession can be brought to bear on public service. So now when we are again faced with our government's fearsome technological powers to monitor our lives at home, undertake illegal covert action abroad, we need voices like Fritz Schwarz's. He is, as Randy Fertel said, a transparency warrior. His call for a full, wide, and no-holds-barred investigation of the abuses of the NSA and other intelligence agencies would have come about, but I'm happy to say that I called Fritz Schwarz a few months ago, and though he was lying in his bed with frozen pea packets on his knees because of knee surgery, he agreed to write a piece as to why, in light of the recent revelations of abuses, ones we've known about for years, but recent, we need a revival of the church committee, a new church committee for these times. So let me end by saying Fritz is that quiet patriot, that quintessential straight arrow who spreads the word that our fragile democracy will be lost if the nation's commitment to the rule of law is allowed to weaken. He understands how vital oversight is to a functioning democracy, and he also believes that a legitimate need for secrecy must not be used as a cloak to hide official crimes and our government's violation of our constitutional rights. Legislation, he has said, seldom comes unless the public is convinced of the need for change. And he said change needs teachers, and what needs to be taught is that good policy is more likely when delved through transparency. So in one of those wonderful twists of history, Fritz Schwarz, who told me he turned down 2 offers to become a professor at Harvard Law School, has turned out to be one of our great teachers, and he is still teaching us and guiding us. And for that, it is a great honor to have him here to honor him today.